So yeah, this is working. Okay. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about doing customer development because a lot of companies fail, and I want to help you guys figure out why companies are failing and what you can do to not fail yourself. So the big question is here first with doing customer development. A lot of things people always think about is you need to start having conversations, you need to start talking to people. But you know, why bother talking to people when you actually could be building? Is a lot of questions people have. It's your first setup in your mind is okay. You know, I got this great idea. Let's start building. And actually, I'm not sure if the sound is working, but I got a small little video to kick off. See if that's working.
Technology can improve the things people love. At least that's what my company believes. People love photography. That's obvious. But when we thought about photography, we realized one thing. Humans are limited to looking at photos with our eyes. That's a problem, right? So we made an app, PicSong. The first program that turns your photos into music if you want to do that for some reason. Here's how PicSong works. First, select a photo. The app analyzes its colors, shapes, its file type, and converts them into musical notes. That's kind of a cool thing, right? I mean, don't you think you might want to use that for some reason? Okay. Now close your eyes. Imagine that you have a lot of photos and you need them to be music for some reason or some other problem. I don't know. Open your eyes. This is the thing that solves your problem, whatever it is. Not being able to make music out of your photos is a thing of the past. PicSong can convert any photo. Photos of people. Photos of animals. Photos of things. As an innovator, I have one simple goal: to make an app. So I asked myself, what are two separate things? Can I turn one of those things into the other thing? And I did. Think of the possibilities. What are they? Well, that's the great thing about PicSong. It puts the power in your hands. You get to decide why you need this. I can't tell you why you need this. It's not my job. Who is this app for? Maybe it's for students, or artists, or blind people. Yeah, blind people might like it, I guess. Maybe it's for babies who can't understand pictures but can understand music. Are there babies like that? I don't know. The bottom line is this: it's an app and it works. So we've solved the problem of turning photos into music. But can it turn your music into photos? No, it can't. Do you get to keep the original photo? No, it gets deleted. Always back up your photos before using PicSong. Do you want to know what how you look sounds like? Well, here we go. We expect that within 100 years, every photo in the world will be music. Maybe there will be so much photo music that people won't even make regular music anymore. That's technology changing the world. Thank you.
So yeah, I see a couple of people laughing here because, of course, this is a really funny idea, and it's made by The Onion, the guys who made or making the fake news website. But there's actually a real good point in it, because the most startups out there, they fail not because they don't have any good product. You know, they might build the most amazing thing like you just saw here. You take a picture and it turns into an awesome audio clip, but they fail because they don't have customers. That's the reason why most startups fail. And today I want to talk a little bit about the most dangerous word in startups, and I want to talk you a bit through there. And yeah, so actually, do any of you know what the most dangerous word in startups actually could be? with this word, you're making decisions in a vacuum. You can take action for years and end up nowhere. Does anybody know what the most dangerous word in startups is? It's assumptions. Assumptions can be anything. It can be assumptions about potential customers. It can be assumptions about potential problems. It can be assumptions about potential solutions. And with all these three different things, if you make the wrong assumptions, you end up building something nobody wants. You spend years of your life throwing away all your money, all your saving in there, and you end up with a product nobody cares about, and you don't make any sales. So I want to dive in a bit in all the three different assumption categories. Let's first talk about the assumptions about potential customers. If you start a product, you need to market your product. You need to get a specific audience in which you can sell your product to, in which people will start to use your product. If you need to start thinking about your market, and what we use in advertising is a thing called personas. And personas are actually fictional characters. It helps you to sort of create this shape inside your mind. Okay, this is the ideal person. It's an imaginary person. You put a name on it, you put a history on it, a story of who that person is and why he does certain things. And he should have enough physical detail so you can easily step over into the mind of the user of your product, so you can think, okay, if one person starts using my product, who is this person and why is he going to use this product? It can actually be anybody, and the ideal thing here is just to put a name on there. So if you actually put a name on there, you can identify yourself better with that person. To help you describe a stereotypical customer as detailed as possible, you need to start asking yourself a couple of different questions. This could be facts about demographics, about behaviors, what books does he or she read. Maybe he buys a comic book about building websites. And what problems does he or she has, or what needs does that person have, the goals and dreams of that person. What are the places that person hangs out? What are the key influences? What kind of newspapers does he or she read? All those kind of things. If you start writing those things down, you can start to describe the actual user of your product. And with that, it makes it a lot easier to find the ideal target customer, to have conversations with, and to try to validate your assumptions about the actual problem you're trying to solve. There's a really cool app out there on the internet. It's called personapp.io, which helps you create these kind of personas for your customers. It asks you the right questions, and you can print out sheets and put everything out there. So what kind of questions should you ask yourself when you try to develop these kind of personas? It's questions like, okay, what is that demographic information? Where are they living? Are they living in Madrid, or are they living in Moscow? It's a complete different person. What kind of jobs do they have? Are they a taxi driver? Are they a journalist? Are they sit-at-home moms? It could be anything, but it makes a real big difference in what kind of person it is. How does a day in their life look like? Is another one. What do they value most? What are their goals in life? What is the thing that they want to achieve? Again, it differs from person to person, but eventually with every product, there's a clear target market who are using a product, who are using your service, and all these questions help in there. Again, where do they get their information? Are they reading newspapers? Are they going to a newsstand? Are they watching the journal, the news broadcast on television? These kind of questions help you develop your personas. But again, with all these different questions you ask yourself, and you write down these different things, it's all assumptions. Up until you start validating something, it's all assumptions, and everything could be totally wrong. So you might think to yourself, okay, this is my ideal customer, but you need to start talking to that ideal customer. You need to start addressing that person, and you need to start engaging with the person to really find out if that ideal customer is really your ideal customer. It might be somebody else. It might be that he or she lives in a different region, gets his news from somewhere else, and all these questions help you. If you start talking with these people, it starts helping you to validate everything. Second thing is the assumptions about potential problems and solutions. Most startups, they as Paul Graham says, build something people want. But what do people want? If I start seeing a problem, it doesn't mean that any of you has the same problem, even if I might think that everybody in the audience here has the same problem. It doesn't mean that any of you guys will accept my solution for that problem as the solution to the exact same problem you're facing. And the third biggest issue, of course, is there, even if you accept my solution to your problem, are you willing to pay for it? Because at the end of the day, I still need to pay for my own lunch. So by talking to people, you can find out about their problems. But, tricky thing, it's super easy to screw up these conversations. If you start talking to people, there's a couple of different things. Famous quote from Henry Ford. If I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses instead of building a car. If he just asked people, you know, what is the thing you want, then he never would have come up with the solution of building a car. Another problem is that anybody will say your idea is great enough if you annoy them for long enough. If I start talking to you and I start talking about my idea, and in the beginning you might say, oh, you know, I don't know. But if I start talking more and more, and if I start pressing you more, of course, at one point you will say, yeah, sure, I love it. Yeah, I will buy it. But just for you to shut me up and, you know, get to the bar and let me order a beer for you. You just want to end the conversation. You have had enough of it. So, quick question, and I need a little bit of interactivity with this on. A man walks up, turns on the radio, goes upstairs, turns on the lights, and kills himself. Why is this happening? Any suggestions? Why did the man kill himself? Pascal? A man walks up, turns on the radio, goes upstairs, turns on the lights and kills himself. Why? Sorry? Is that failed? No. Nope, he didn't hear something bad on the radio. Sorry? No, he didn't hear something bad on the radio. The problem is I just hear 3 questions right now, and you're all asking me questions which I can only answer with yes or no. And we can go on for an hour here, and I can still say yes or no, but mostly no, of course, because as soon as I say yes, you got the answer. But if you start only asking yes or no questions, yes? Sorry? No, he's not in the shower. See, right now I'm only giving no answers, and by asking not open-ended questions, but only yes or no questions, you're getting nowhere. We could go on for half an hour like this, we still don't know why the guy killed himself. Actually, I don't have any idea myself. He might be working in the lighthouse. He goes up, he wants to switch on the light, he sees that the light is not working, walks upstairs, he sees this enormous cruise ship coming, hitting the lighthouse. It's too late. You know, it could be anything. But as long as you start asking yes and no questions, you're getting nowhere. Another question. You see the dartboard here. As soon as I start throwing in darts, it's the exact same thing. If I start throwing in darts, I'm blindfolded and I throw a dart to the board, then I need to hit the bullseye. If I only ask the question, did I hit the bullseye, yes or no? And I hear no, okay, of course I'll throw another one. But I only have 3 darts, so I will never know if I would hit the bullseye, yes or no. If I would ask a question, where is the dart located on the board, which I just thrown? And if somebody answers, it's a little bit off the left to the bullseye, then I know, I need to adjust my hand a little bit to go to the right to actually start hitting the bullseye. So just asking yes and no questions will get you nowhere. So there's 3 horrible ways if you want to screw up any of these customer conversations you're having. First one, use a script or a survey. As soon as you start talking to somebody and you have the script in front of you, you only try to talk, okay, this is the next question, this is the next question. But with that, you start missing out hidden signals of the person's talking to you. If you look at it, for example, like a little kid always, you know, they can annoy the shit out of you because they start asking why. But because the little kid asked like 5 or 6 different times why, you start to realize, okay, he tries to get to the bottom of the problem here. And if you start using a script or a survey, you only start asking the questions which you have in front of you, and you're missing out on all the complete hidden signals and all the extra things there. So one good thing is, if you're starting out with this company idea you're having, is to write down for yourself the 3 biggest questions you're having, and write them down first, memorize them later. As soon as you memorize them, as soon as you have them in your mind, it doesn't matter where I am. I could be getting a coffee on the corner here, but I see somebody who might be one of my potential customers from the beginning. It might be one of my ideal buyer personas. But as soon as I just serendipitously meet this person, then I can start having a conversation with him and trying to get answers to my big 3 questions. So always, try to get your big 3 questions. As soon as you meet somebody who might fit your target audience, start having a conversation, try to get the answer to these big 3 questions. As soon as you have the answers, of course, you can just move on to another set of 3 big questions to try to get more details about what it is that you should actually be building. And if you're, okay, for example, I'm having a talk right now with somebody, and I see, I get some certain answers. There's always a couple of good questions which you can use to start to dig in more. Just like the little kid with the continuously asking why. You can say, okay, why do you want to do that? What would that let you do? How are you coping without it? So if somebody has a really, he's raving about this issue he sees in the office, and like, how are you dealing with this at the moment? Or if you're already starting to build something, you could ask, do you think we should push back the launch date, add that feature, or is it something we can add later? With a question like this, you can start pointing out your to-do list of the next features you need to start building. How would that fit in your day? How describe a normal day? How does it look like? And okay, you see this problem. How does something like this fit in your day? Another thing is that if you're starting to talk with people, they always use different body language, and you can see different emotional signals with these persons. You can ask questions then to dig in deeper more if you start seeing those emotional signals, like, tell me more about it. That seems to really bug you. I bet there's a story there. What makes this so awful? Why haven't you been able to fix this already? Sometimes in big corporate environments, there's this problem, somebody is annoyed crap like this about it, and he's so annoyed at one point he just gets his Excel and he starts creating his own Excel sheet with impossible formulas, and it fixes the problem. But as soon as somebody does something like this, then there's a real problem there, because somebody is already so annoyed that he started trying to create his own solution for him. You seem pretty excited about this. Is it a big deal? Why are you so happy? Or just even, it's 2 words, go on, please tell me more. You can also use softball and anchor questions in your conversation. How's it going with? Or a little bit like the go on. Interesting, tell me more about it. Or can we just go back a little bit to what you were saying about this a little bit earlier? Second way to screw up your customer development conversations is to actually talk about your idea. Dear mom, don't you think my idea is great? Love, your son. If I would send a message like this to my mother, of course she would tell me that my idea is great. But as soon as a product is out there, as soon as I actually launch my product in the store, fuck man, not even my mother would buy it. This is not something she's interested in. But she just says this because she loves me and she thinks I'm nice. But it's not just your mother who lies. People always want to be helpful. So they tell you what they think, that you think you want to hear. So even if I never met somebody on the street and I start talking with somebody about my idea, and I might even put in a little bit in like, I've been developing for 6 months on this idea and it's awesome. Of course nobody will tell me that the idea sucks. Because human nature is in such a way that they don't want to hurt my feelings. So of course they will say me that the idea is lovely, but then as soon as I start asking, okay, so you think this idea is really lovely? Okay, pay me 10 euros right now so you can have my first customer. Oh, sorry, I forgot my wallet. No? There's a really good book, and I really urge you to read this. It's from a guy in the UK called Rob Fitzpatrick, and he wrote a book called The Mom Test. Because a lot of times, just like the example earlier with when I write to my mother, if I'm able to do customer development with my mother if I just know how to ask the right questions. In his book, he writes about these ideas. So never ask about their opinion, especially about your idea. You need to ask about their life, ask about specifics in the past. Talk me through the last time you had something like this, and what did you do? How did you cope with it? You need to, okay, I'm talking a lot right now, but I will change that in a little bit, but you need to talk less and listen more to people. You need let them have the conversation, and you need to, just use a bunch of these softball and anchor questions sometimes to keep the conversation going, but let them do the talking. Try to find out, okay, what is the actual problem here? So, to make it a little bit more interactive, I'm going to do some good or bad questions with you guys. First one. Do you think it's a good idea? Is it a good or a bad question? What do you think? Bad? Very good. Would you buy a product which solved this problem? Is this a good or a bad question? And why? Well, if you have the actual physical product and you ask, would you buy it? It's a little bit different than pitching your problem. The big problem in this question here is a little two words in the beginning, the would you, because as a human being you can never predict future behavior. So it's of course, yeah, I would. But if you then come back 6 months later, that's even if you almost have the finished product, and you come back one week later, it's still not going to happen. How do you currently deal with this problem? Good or bad question? Good? Yep. When does this problem pop up? Bad? Why is it bad? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure, did everybody hear that? So she thinks it's bad because she says that we need to go a little bit more into emotion, but it's actually a good question, because if you ask this, when does this problem pop up, you want to go into specifics in the past. When does this problem pop up? The entire bathroom floor was covered in water. Well, when did this pop up, and how did it, and then you can continue on that. So when does it pop up? Try to get into specifics, into a certain problem, and because that is a good question. What makes this time consuming and go off track? Good or bad question? Nate, good or bad question? Why? Why is it a good question, Nate? Indeed, you have to dig a little bit deeper. So it's actually sort of a good question, but if you change the wording a little bit, has this ever been more time consuming or gone off track more than normal? Because sometimes things go wrong on an occasional basis and they just start to deal with it and they ignore it. But if you go a little bit more specific, okay, dive a little bit deeper, then the question becomes better. Please show me how, good or bad. It's good, yeah. You want to get into specifics there. Please tell me how. I'm trying to learn from you, good or bad. Why? Exactly. It's you can go a little bit better like this. Talk me through the last time you had this, because indeed, if you say I'm trying to learn from you, you're putting them a little bit off track indeed there. What did you try to do about it? It's good, eh? How much would you pay for this? A couple of mixed signals, good, bad. Why is it good? Yeah. Okay. And somebody who said bad, why is it bad? Again, Indeed. You can't predict the future. So if you ask the question, how much does this problem currently cost you, then you can get a better idea of how much. Pricing is the topic of another talk. Pricing is one of the most hardest things out there. But if you start asking how much does this problem currently cost you, it helps you get more into the specifics of how much money is being lost there. And if it's if this problem only costs €1 a month for some person, that's probably not worth solving for you, because you can never make enough money there to buy a decent meal for yourself. So we go a little bit. So we just had a meeting. Try to vision yourself. We just had a meeting with somebody, and I come back from the meeting. Did we make any progress? Sounds great. I love it. Did we make any progress? No. They're lying to you. Brilliant. Let me know when it launches. It's a tough one, eh? It's not good? No? It's not good. Why? Because they're giving you a compliment, so it boosts your ego. You think, yay, this guy's really going to buy my product. But actually, he's using a stalling technique because they don't really care. Forget about this guy. There are a couple of people I can intro you to when you're ready, good or bad. Promises? It's sort of okay, but if it was really okay, why didn't he connect you straight away right now? Because if he really loves your product, he could connect you straight away to the friends and try to help you get more validation. Yeah. But if he really loved it, if he really thinks it's good, he will put his reputation at stake because he really thinks the idea is good enough. Right now, he just, it's a partial commitment. Like, it's not there yet. Not really sure. I would definitely buy that. It's again a would you question with the future behavior. I would definitely buy that. The guy's never going to buy. It's a promising signal, but people can't predict their own behavior. You end up going home like, yeah, I got 10 people and they say they want to buy my product. Nope. So third thing you need to worry about with how you can screw up your customer development interviews is by actually starting to sell. You need to be when doing customer development is really early stage. You're just there at the moment where you think, okay, I have this problem which I can start fixing to people. At that moment, you don't have anything to sell yet. You need to learn. You need to be an apprentice and not a salesperson. You need to start trying to identify, really, is this the problem? Is really this the problem? And then as soon as you figure out the problem for yourself, as soon as the problem is completely clear, yes, there is a problem. Yes, a lot of people are having this. Yes, it's costing them major money. Okay, then only at that point, then you can start thinking about different solutions. And even for different solutions, you still need to start validating them, because one solution might, like I said earlier, one solution might still not be, even if I think, okay, this solution works for everybody in the hallway here, you still might not like it. So even with different solutions, you need to start asking the correct questions to people. So what we normally do is this. I do this talk a lot with different workshops we do, and then we actually tell people, okay, well, you need to get out there and you need to start talking to people. And one of the easiest ways, because especially if you just start with this process, if you just start talking with people, it's really difficult. It's really difficult, and you might have a conversation with somebody, and then, okay, after conversation you go home and like, okay, took the train home, I'm there, quickly write down what I talked to this guy about. You never really get everything. You might run up with some things you forgot. You missed out some emotional signals of somebody. So it's really difficult. So actually, what we try to tell a lot of people is that as soon as you start with this, start running the process with two people. Use post-its. Post-its are really awesome, because what you do is then one person is having the conversation with somebody, and the other person is just standing in the corner, just listening from afar. He's not really attached to the conversation, because as soon as that person is standing next to the person asking the questions, the person giving the answers, he's constantly looking to the second person. Is this the answer they want to hear? So you don't want to have that, but you want to have somebody objective outside of the conversation, writing down all the different things he sees, all the different signals. Best thing to do is use, like I said, is use post-its. So you can put one remark per post-it. Use stupid signals. You think to yourself, okay, these are important for me, and I can remember them. So if somebody is talking about a job or an obstacle, you know, these are the things which I think I can remember in the conversation. And as soon as you put all these different things on different post-its, it makes it really awesome if you come back, because then if you have like 3, 4, 5 different conversations with these people, then you can just start putting all the post-its on one table, and you can start seeing different patterns, which is really powerful. There's another website which I urge you to look into. It's called cusdevcards.com, which gives you lots of different examples, like don't ask a barber if you need a haircut. Of course he will say that you need a haircut. So these are a lot of awesome questions here, which can help you get all the correct questions there. So the last part of the talk I'm having here is about actually getting the validation. Where are the different locations where you can find your people? Because of course, if you start building your customer profile and you think, okay, this guy always hangs out at Starbucks or whatever, it's really easy to find those people and just go in there and start talking with people. But there are lots and lots of different ways online which you can use to try to find people. First off is LinkedIn. On LinkedIn you can use the LinkedIn groups, you can use search and email to find people, you can check your existing connections who might be interested, who are in the target demographic. You can ask your existing connections for different intros. You can post things to your LinkedIn newsfeed, so people will start seeing those the questions you're having and start interacting with that. You can, if you run a little bit of money, you can do some LinkedIn ads, so you can drive traffic to, for example, a landing page where people can start asking, where you can have people sign up and start asking them questions. LinkedIn Pulse, which is a really beauty, which has been opened up for a lot of people since the last couple of months, I think. LinkedIn Pulse is the blogging platform from LinkedIn. If you start blogging on LinkedIn, and to be honest, there's a little bit of a growth hack there. You just need to post at the correct time. Don't ever duplicate your post. So if you already post something on your blog, and then just think, okay, just copy paste it on LinkedIn. Don't do it, because LinkedIn is searchable. You will have duplicate content. It will mess up your SEO. So just rewrite the article, put it on LinkedIn Pulse, and have people quickly contact all your friends as soon as you have something on there. Because as soon as you post something on there and you have like 20, 30, 50 quick upvotes of people who liking your article, then the algorithms of LinkedIn will start thinking, there's something interesting happening with this article here. And because the algorithms of LinkedIn start thinking that, LinkedIn will push you even further, and you will end up in the top new LinkedIn Pulse stuff, etc. So you get lots of views. You can, of course, use Facebook as well to look up your friends, ask your friends for introductions. Look for fan pages. As you can see on the top right corner there, every fan page has the little message icon, so you can start messaging the owners of fan pages of certain pages. And maybe if you start having a conversation with these people, you can start asking them, hey, maybe you want to post this message on your Facebook fan page with already 20,000 likes, which helps then to spread your word out again. You can run targeted Facebook ads, of course. The graph search of Facebook is really, really powerful. If you just, give me, I don't know, guys 35 living with their mother liking kittens, Facebook will give you that info. Twitter. Same thing again, ask your followers for referrals. You can run Twitter ads, you can ask Twitter accounts to tweet on your behalf, just like the fan pages of Facebook. You can search for relevant hashtags and join the Twitter chat, which is happening there on the relevant hashtags. Search Twitter for people talking about your problem. Twitter search is really powerful, and people, as soon as they have a problem with something, people will always start complaining on Twitter. That's the only reason why big companies have a Twitter account, is because people start complaining about them and they need somebody to do damage control. YouTube, again, you can talk to YouTube channel owners, ask channel owners for promotion, start your own channel, run ads on YouTube. You can use email, you can email relevant friends, contacts. There's this awesome new service which was on Product Hunt a couple of weeks ago called Name to Email, which is a browser extension for, I think, Chrome. And basically you can just start typing somebody's email and he will start guessing what the correct email address is, so you can do some cold emailing. You can make your Google Hangout status a call for introduction for people. You can make your signature in your emails a call for help, or even for introductions. I've seen the comic book guy putting his comic book sell link in his email. You know. You can start your own blog, write articles about the problem you're trying to solve, post your blog to discussion sites. Again, these are massively interesting because you have things like Reddit, you have things like Hacker News, Inbound.org, Growth Hackers, Designer News. These are all communities around certain topics, and they allow people to post stuff on there and other people upvote it. You know, so a big little thing of caution here. Not on LinkedIn, you can ask all your friends to quickly start upvoting. But on all these websites, if you start asking people to quickly start upvoting and you give them a direct link, they will punish you. So don't do that. You know, try to figure out other ways to do this. You can update your about page on your blog to ask people, okay, this is what the things I'm looking for. You can make a specific page on your blog, start a blog, or even just start a blog from scratch, talking about the industry and things you're trying to solve. You can, not just your own, but you can reach out to other bloggers for maybe for interviews, to run ads for you, to write about you. Maybe a lot of websites out there, they're always struggling to get content. You know, they need to post regularly. So a lot of these websites are really eager to have somebody guest posting on their website. So if you have something interesting to say, just contact these people. Say, look, I can write you this really interesting article, which is really on top of the niche you're trying to solve, and it could be really great for you guys. Start writing some guest blog posts there. There's a really good book if you want to learn how to manipulate media. There's a really cool book from Ryan Holiday called Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator. It's really awesome, because what this guy, for example, tells in this book, and this, you know, just for a little bit off topic here, but just for getting audience, for your products which you're running. At one point he starts talking about this indie movie wanted to get press. They had no money whatsoever to get press. So basically what he did, he went to this little village in the US. He went to one of those movie posters. He took a bunch of spray can and he sprayed over them like a protest thing over the poster. Then he created an Instagram account, posted the picture on Instagram, and then created a new Gmail account, sent it to a local newspaper and said, look, there's clearly something wrong. People are protesting against, look at this is on Instagram. People are protesting against this movie. So of course, all these websites, they won't need to get traffic because that's how they're getting paid. They don't do fact checking, so they post the article. Then later, a little bit later on, he gets a different email address. He mails to a little bit different, a bigger blog. He says, look, this little blog here is writing about this movie and people protesting about it. You're missing out. Maybe you should write about this. So he does this a couple of times, and in 24 hours it was on CNN. You know, so people are always looking into content. Try to get some guest posting out there, and you can get some views on your stuff. Blog list, like blog category, all top, even cloud. Who uses cloud anymore? But even on cloud, you can still find people who are sort of top persons in their niche, and you can start trying to contact them and try to reach out to commenters on your website as well. You know, they clearly took the time to engage with whatever content you're posting out there. These guys could turn into brand advocates in the end. There's things like Quora, Bright Journey, etc., where people are asking questions. These are the people who are having problems. They're asking questions because they can't solve it. If you are really helpful out there, and if you don't say, okay, I'm Hans and I solve your problem, here's the link. People won't like that. But if you really start engaging with these people, and if you're trying to have helpful answers to these people, they can. Of course, at one point you can start contacting them, and you can try to figure out different problems. Forums, microsites, communities, you know, all these things are a bit the same like Quora. You can start reaching out to commenters on other websites, on other communities. Newsletters, you can start talking to newsletter owners. Maybe you can run a little ad on your news site. There's a thing called LaunchBit, which helps you to buy ads in other people's newsletters. So you can just use that to get some wording out there. Your competition, there's always competition. There's always somebody who came up with the exact same idea as yours, and they're always trying to solve it. But these people might be a little bit further down the road, see what they're talking about, see who they are talking to. These people you can then start contacting again as well. These are already people who are trying to work with this kind of products. Use things like MixRank, SpyFu, etc. for them. If you're still in college or in university, you can ask your professors. You can leverage your alumni network of your university, use your alumni directory of the university. You can reach out to different student groups. You can start thinking as crazy as you want. Kickstarter is getting more difficult nowadays. You need to get a real proper video, or otherwise nobody will buy it. But for example, I'm really a fan of the Oatmeal, the guy who creates the cartoon on the internet, and he created the little card game Exploding Kittens. The guy raised 8.7 million just with a little card game on Kickstarter. Reach out to your user that backed your product, put your ID maybe on some other funding sites like Indiegogo. You can use your existing user base. If you create a landing page and people start signing up, then you can start emailing these people and try to start a conversation with them. One really easy, even if you automate it, one really easy hack to get their attention is as soon as somebody signs up on your website, you can use different things like MailChimp, etc., to automatically send them an email. Don't make that email fancy. Make it a plain text HTML without any HTML, plain text email, end up in a little bit of the bottom, sent from my iPhone. People will think that you actually took the time. I signed up on this website. This guy is so busy, he doesn't have any time for me, but he sends me just his email straight from his iPhone just after I send up. Don't do it just straight 1 minute after, wait, put the automation on 5 or 6 minutes. So it really looks like, he just saw me signing up. People will believe this, and they will immediately start interacting with you because they think you actually took the time to start talking with them. So to wrap everything up, I want you just to remember one thing. There are no facts inside the Google campus here. You need to go out there and you need to start talking to different people. If you don't do that, you will never know if you're actually solving a problem. And if you don't know if you're actually solving a problem, you might end up wasting a lot of time. So that's it. Any questions? That was pretty clear then. Oh.
Nice, yes. Thank you so much for coming. Well.